Hello. This is an extra edition of 58 Keys this week because if you don't already know what's been going on with the tremendous Affinity apps and you care, well, give me a minute, please, and yeah, I'll fill you in. But if you do already know, if you have already been waiting to find out what is happening, short version is, yeah, we're fine. Despite a great deal of very reasonable fear, actually, users of Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo, and my personal favorite, Affinity Publisher, I think we can relax. Canva, the new owner of the apps, is not asset stripping them. It's not taking their features into the Canva platform and then abandoning these excellent popular apps. It's also not switching to a subscription, which at times did seem pretty likely. Instead, what's happened is that Canva has merged all three apps into one and made this new Affinity app entirely free. Canva says it's free now and it'll be free forever with no catch. I did find a small catch. A couple of concerns. The small catch, it's a temporary thing, and as long as you know about it, you're fine. And yeah, I've got to have something to keep you watching. No, let's not do that. I'll tell you what. If you do know these apps, if you know the originals, well, just stop listening to me and go straight to the site affinity.studio and download them. Download the new app. I do have a couple of things to caution you about, but well, either you'll figure them out yourself on the way. It's not like it's going to be hard. Or how about actually, I'll tell you what, we'll do this. While you're downloading it, I'll do a previously on Affinity. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and as I say, this is an extra 58 Keys, although, as ever, as always, it's for writers like you and me, who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. Do please like, subscribe, or patronise me, because, as ever, there's so much to talk about. A lot of detail in this one, but first, previously on Affinity. I know you know of Adobe's main apps, of course you do. Photoshop is obviously the most famous one, but then there's also, well, there are so many Adobe apps, but Adobe Illustrator for illustrations, I suppose. Adobe InDesign for page and document layout. They're probably the three big ones. Many years ago now, the Serif company launched three apps that, well, initially in a little unfairly, were basically seen as cheap knockoffs of those three. I mean, Affinity Photo was clearly trying to be Photoshop. Affinity Designer tried to be Illustrator, and Affinity Publisher, it wanted to be Adobe InDesign when it grew up. Yeah, but it grew up. The three apps were, they're still focused on those three key types of work, but increasingly they were really strong in their own right. You didn't use them solely because they were cheaper than Adobe. You didn't just use them, well, because Adobe was getting ever more expensive. You actually ended up using them because the Affinity apps were so very good. I mean, truly, these are those kind of apps where you kind of love them. You know, several times a year, right, I do various publications for some charities here in the UK. And it means that for quite a period, every evening and every weekend, at least for a couple of months, I will be locked in Affinity Publisher. And as it happens, what you don't need to know this, why am I saying? Well, to do quickly, this year's been unexpectedly fraught for all sorts of reasons to do with the publications. But with all these external problems going on, affecting deadlines and things, and such a lot of hours in front of the Mac, I still, throughout it, adored Affinity Publisher. I relished using it, and I really loved how every time I did the next publication, I would learn something new. Yeah. I should say, for in comparison, I found Affinity Photo just too much for me. I've just never really understood it. And actually, I've hardly touched Affinity Designer. But what I feel about Affinity Publisher, others feel about it, but also Designer and Photo. So last year, we got worried. Canva bought Serif, the development company. It took over Affinity. Now, you've seen this whenever this happens. There is a strong chance that the old apps will be plundered for features and then abandoned. The famous example is Apple. It bought Dark Sky, the immensely popular weather app, raided it for everything it could, put all of those features into its own Apple weather app, and then closed down Dark Sky. Also, actually, last year, thinking of Apple bought the Mac image editor Pixelmator Pro, which is, again, another truly superb app. And at that time, if you used you froze, thinking Pixelmator Pro could be over. I mean, not so far, seemingly not so far. But then there was also this. If you use the Affinity apps, or the Adobe ones, or really any reasonably heavyweight editing app, something like that, then you didn't like Canva. You did not like Canva one bit. I had to learn how to use Canva because I had this client who had no budget, and so no real option, none to Affinity is cheap, but they needed the free Canva. And also, they were very new to image work at the time, which would make them ideal for Canva. That's what Canva aims at. But Canva is only great and easy if you work exactly the way it wants you to, that it expects you to. If you need to fiddle, tough. And Canva, I don't know why this is, Canva users who love the app, and many do, they also just take it for granted that you use it. Everybody uses Canva, don't they? No. Last week I was sent a poster sent in Canva and there was nothing I could do with it. Canva just kept displaying it in my browser and not letting me export it or save it or get it out of there in any way to anything usable. The job I've been asked, just for example, I've been asked to duplicate that image. It was a poster, make half a dozen very similar ones for this charity. So I even tried taking a screenshot, but Canva, no, just happily resizes to fit your browser. I couldn't even find out the sizes of this thing. Deeply frustrating. Canva is not your friend. So Canva taking over, taking some Affinity features into its regular software and then throwing away the Affinity apps, that was a true worry. And it wasn't the only one. It was a big one for me, but it wasn't the only one. There was another worry which got a lot of people very concerned, and I thought about it too. I was more okay with it than some. The Affinity apps, they were always remarkably cheap, like I say, incredibly cheap for what they do, ludicrously so. But they were also one-time purchases where Adobe is a subscription, and not only an expensive one, but one where, like I say, the price keeps on hiking up. So for people like me, who do use, well, in my case, it's publishing apps, and I use them really intensely, but only about 6 times a year, the cost of a monthly or an annual Adobe Creative Cloud subscription is just untenable. It's not even nineable. And the concern was, of course, that Affinity would switch to subscription. It had to, went the internet, because otherwise, how is Canva going to make back however much money it spent on buying the company? Which is actually a good point, and I don't know the answer. I don't know the business model at all. It's concerning. But instead, Canva's just gone and made Affinity free. Canva insists that it's free now and it will be free forever. I mean, you never know, but there genuinely does not appear to be anything you could call a real catch to that, a big catch, although there are these couple of things that I know. I mean, including one minor catch that, well, it will be a catch. It'll be a problem for the next few months. I said there were two. Let me get rid of the smallest thing first. You have to have a Canva account to even open the new single Affinity app. During the time that I was talking with the company before launch, it really appeared that if you already had an Affinity account, you were already an Affinity user, well, you could just carry on using that. Right now that it's out, that doesn't appear to be the case, and I'm really not clear why. I mean, most likely I just misunderstood them then, or I'm misunderstanding now. But you're thinking, as anyone would, having an account means paying for Canva. So yeah, you get Affinity free, but only if you're paying for Canva. No, you can get a completely free Canva account. I mean, actually, in that respect, it is very much like the old Affinity accounts. It wasn't for some kind of, well, really not for billing purposes or things and orders. It was for keeping your order history, troubleshooting, quick access to updates, and all sorts of things. It tied one user to one account. There are paid Canva accounts. Actually, there are several. And for us now, the thing of them is that if you're on any of the paid Canva accounts, you also get access to Canva AI features right inside the new Affinity app. I couldn't care. Not one pixel of care in me. But in case you do, I tried to find out how much Canva accounts cost. It would be good if the company was a wee bit more transparent about this because, for example, there are many, but there are paid plans for education, non-profit companies, teams, loads of them, and you do not know the price of any of these until you inquire. Yeah, right. Call me a cynic. Inquiring always means the company trying to size up how much money you've got, and then, oh, what a coincidence, the fee is exactly that. Amazing. But there is one paid Canva account that the company does publish a price for. Canva Pro costs $100 a year. Doubtlessly, the company hopes to see people signing up for that. And well, I don't think it forces you. It doesn't really put you through hurdles to get out of it, but there's a big button for it, and it's not exactly subtle. But you really don't have to use. You don't have to pay for Canva, and I do not see a compelling reason to. So, sign up for the free account, get the new app, knock yourself out, except the catch. I feel like I'm overplaying this and I really don't want to because it's true now, but it will not be true sometime next year. Don't know when. Right now, the new Affinity is available only for Mac and Windows. It is not available for the iPad. Now, Canva confirmed to me that the iPad versions of this is Affinity Publisher, but also Affinity Designer and Affinity Photo will remain available right up until the new Affinity for iPad is released in 2026. They also confirmed actually that those 3 iPad apps, the current 3, will be free. They will stay free. Only when you open any existing Affinity document in the new app, you are warned that the document must be updated. I mean, you've seen that before. It's pretty common. The app has to update the document to work with its new format, its new whatever behind the scenes. Fine. And just as with any other app, when that happens, you can't then open the document back inside the old app or the old version of the app. Okay, but the iPad solely has the old versions. So for now, you cannot use the new Affinity app on your Mac and work on the same documents on your iPad. So if that cross-platform use is important for you, and it was sometimes for me, you have to stick with the old Mac apps and as well as the old iPad apps. Like I say, you do need to know that, and it can be significant. There were times it would have been difficult for me. But the new Affinity app is promised for the iPad, like I say, sometime in 2026. If you are in this position, the cross-platform thing, I suggest you just download the new app on the Mac and play with it anyway, simply to see what it's like. But I would not do any serious work in it. You just cannot if you also have to continue that work on the iPad. Well, actually, I would not ever switch apps or even upgrade apps while in the middle of a project. And I am right now. I'm doing another one of these magazines for the charity, and I'll be on that through this weekend, possibly next as well. It is just always an extraordinarily bad idea to swap to a new app while in a project, while on a deadline, and you're looking at me. I think you see where this is going, but actually for once, no. I am absolutely going to continue working on the magazine in the old Affinity publisher. But yeah, I made a copy of it and I opened it in the new Affinity app, and it looks great. Everything is still there. Every tool that I use, every feature, as far as I can tell so far. I was concerned though that having 3 apps compiled into one meant you'd struggle to find the features you need amongst all of them there. Well, actually, mind you, I suppose also I'm going to find other features that I didn't know about that will be really useful. But even after only a couple of hours now playing with the app, I do think you have to take your time exploring it. One example, does everybody do this? I regularly export a test version of the magazine I'm working on in Affinity Publisher. I just want to see how it looks as a PDF and whatever. I'm really familiar with how to do it. I know what settings I need, all of this. It's very quick. Go to export it from the new Affinity app, and because that's really 3 apps combined into one, you should see that export dialog box. It's huge. Every option from every old Affinity app is right there. I mentioned PDF. Just finding the PDF section took me time. As it happens, I need to produce a small digital PDF format, and finding that was then a bit of a hunt. I mean, it's all there. Everything I'm looking for so far is there. But in this case, finding it through the massive options was a problem. a problem. I'll cope, you'll cope. I just think it'll take time to get us familiar with the new app, as I have been, as perhaps you have been with the old one, but when would it not? I'll tell you, I couldn't get a copyright of the new Affinity app before it was released, but I did get the kind of press details of what was happening. I've had it about a week now to kind of look into it and study it. So draft publicity, images, screenshots, text descriptions, advertising, yeah, all the usual stuff. Read it all sitting here at the Mac, and then I emailed back the guy at Canva who'd sent it to me to tell him that after reading it, I had actually said aloud, bloody hell. It's great. I mean, I think it's great, but I still have this worry that things will change, that this free Affinity can't last. I'm just weirdly suspicious. I have concerns that maybe I'm wrong and not everything is included from the old apps. I mean, it should be. I'm just weirdly generally worried, and I don't think I should be. Although actually right now, I'm simultaneously worried and relieved. Of course, if Affinity had gone away forever, taken away the old apps, I still have my copies of them. It's not like they could reach in and remove them. But eventually, I mean, after years and years, really, something would break and they would not be supported. I think as time goes by, as I use the new app more after the current project, I'm going to come to find that the real relief is just how good the new Affinity app is. And that isn't optimism. If it's really true that every feature from the old apps is here in this one place, well, then I think the new Affinity is an incredible app. We've gone from fearing we'll lose it to have something new and maybe something better. And it's free. Affinity's been a right roller coaster this month. But it has also made me appreciate the software even more than I already did. And I really appreciated it before. So that's it for this edition of 58 Keys. I hope it's been useful. And if you're an existing Affinity user, I really hope you've ignored me and just gone and downloaded the new one. If you're not an Affinity user, go get it anyway. Link's in the description, but the short version is just you go online to affinity.studio and follow the prompts. I mean, it's free, but it's excellent. I think you'll really enjoy it. I just need tea after all of this. Thank you very much for watching. Now take care of yourself. Write more, that is always important. And go explore the new Affinity. Well, I'll see you soon.